Hello, I'm Presley, and today I will be reviewing episodes 12 and 13 of the Bleach TYBW anime. Now, unlike my reviews, where I do go into a bit more detail about what happened in the episode, I will just be lightly skimming over what actually happened these two episodes. You know, since I'm reviewing two of them this time around, and I don't want the video to be too long, it will probably be a bit longer than my normal ones, though. Alright, let's just get the basic stuff out of the way first. Episode 12 adapts the very ending of 533 all the way through to 537. So just a little bit over 4 chapters in total. And episode 13 adapts chapters 538 to 542. So 5 chapters, in total. Now, let's start with episode 12, shall we? Episode 12 opens up with Ishin reporting to the head captain about what happened. However, he does leave out everything involving Misaki. Then we cut over to Misaki in the human world, where we actually see, her walking home from school with her friends, and we see her bump into Kisuke. And, she apologizes. Kisuke says it's alright, But, Kisuke does seem to notice here that there's something strange about her in this moment. Then, the opening theme plays. After that, we see Ryuken's mother confronting Misaki about, heading out to save a Soul Reaper. Ryuken, upon realizing that his mother knows about this, immediately rushes to where Katagiri is and confronts her, asking her, why she told his mother, that he told her not to tell his mother about this. And, she goes over her reasons for doing this. Ryuken rushes back into, the main entry hall, where he tells his mother, not to be upset with her, that it's his fault. Misaki tells him, not to worry about it, that she can handle this, but, then she collapses. And, we can see where a hollow hole has started to form in her chest. So then, of course, Ryuken immediately grabs up Misaki and rushes out the door, to try and find someone who can help her. Ryuken, he's distracted, he's thinking about what he can do. And, as he's rushing through the air, a hollow comes up from behind him and attempts to attack him, but luckily Ishin appears just in time to save him. Of course, Ryuken blames Ishin for this happening because, Misaki went out of her way to save him, and that is why, she got bitten. Then, Kisuke appears, and he's like, hey there, I can help you. So, of course, they immediately go with Kisuke. And then, once they arrive to Kisuke's shop, he explains, who he is, and he explains everything that's going on with Misaki, what they need to do, what they can do in this situation. And, despite the fact that everything that would need to be done to save her would involve, Ishin, giving up being a Soul Reaper, and, being human, and, it's pretty much nothing but cons for him, he's still like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Much to the surprise of Kisuke and Ryuken, obviously. So, Kisuke, he bounds Ishin's and Misaki's souls together. We see inside of Misaki's soul, we see Ishin, kill the hollow that's trying to devour her, saving her. We see Ryuken walking, back home after that, and we see Katagiri approach him, we have a moment between the two of them talking. We then, of course, have present-day Ishin explaining everything that happened after that event. How he set up the clinic, Misaki going to college, things like that. And then, of course, the ending theme plays. However, there is another, longer end-credit scene this time around. With Ishin explaining what happened that day, 9 years ago, with Ichigo's mother. And, he basically explains to Ichigo, hey, this is Yuhabak's doing. And explains to him how he basically did a screening of all the Quincy's, back 9 years ago, and how that resulted in him taking away Misaki's powers and Katagiri's powers, which in Misaki's case caused her to be killed by Grand Fisher, and in Katagiri's case caused her to fall extremely ill and then die 3 months later. And while he's explaining this, we do see a new scene of Ryuken finding the journal that Uyu is reading. And of course, Ichigo and Ishin, they head outside. And, Miss Ikumi is standing out there and hands Ichigo his Soul Reaper badge. And that's where that episode ends. Alright, now let's move on to episode 13. We pick up where the last episode left off. with Ishin and Ichigo outside, and Ishin asks him, how he's going to get back to the Soul Society. Then suddenly Mera just sort of poofs into existence and grabs a hold of Ichigo and takes him back to Oetsu's place. Ichigo's thrown back into the pit, and now Oetsu tells him that, now he can actually do it, now that he knows who he is. We see the Asauchi that are surrounding Ichigo kneel down, walks ahead, and he stops in front of one and holds out his hand. And we see it reach forward to Ichigo as well and grab a hold of his hand, to which we then see it changing how it looks. We see it then look more like the hollow that is inside of Ichigo. Then the opening theme plays, and then of course we see where members of the 10th Division are training. And we see Captain Hitsugaya walk through the door, and he wants to train with them, because he feels like he needs to relearn the basics now that he has lost his Bankai. So he'll stand a chance in the upcoming battle. We then cut over to Kensei leading Shuhei into a very woodsy area. And Shuhei is obviously like, hey, what are we doing here? And Kensei's like, we're gonna have you learn and master Bankai. We see Mashiro, just come down out of nowhere, slamming her fist into the ground, just barely missing Lieutenant Hisagi. And, Kensei explains to him that, he needs to land this, in case his Bankai is stolen in the upcoming battle. And, they need to have as many strong fighters as they possibly can by then. We see the Department of Research and Development, and we see a Cone walk in. And, of course he wants to know where Mayuri is. Another person that's there tells him that both him and Lieutenant Nemu have been locked away in his lab, ever since the end of the first invasion, working on something. Then we cut over to where Lieutenant Omaida is laying around. We see him talk with his little sister for a bit. Then we cut over to where Suifon is training. And, we cut over and we see Konomura visiting the great elder of his clan. He wants to know the secrets of their clan, for the upcoming battle, of course. We cut over to Ichigo and Oetsu. They arrive in Oetsu's forge. Oetsu explains the purpose of the forge down there, why it's located where it is, all that. And then, of course, we have 5 Zanpakutos make their appearance. They are specifically referred to as Oetsu's bodyguards. And, they go about setting up the forge, using each of their own abilities to do so. Oetsu, he ties back his hair, he takes off his glasses, he gets ready to start working on reforging Ichigo's Zanpakuto. And as he's doing this, he's talking to Ichigo about his Zanpakuto and whatnot, and he states that his Zanpakuto is the hollow that is inside of him. And, not the man that's been pretending to be a Zanpakuto. Old man Zangetsu. And Ichigo's, of course, surprised by this and is like, what do you mean? And, of course, Oetsu has to point out, well, you've seen his face recently. You know who he is. Then, of course, we see Ichigo inside of his subconscious, to confront old man Zangetsu. Ichigo's confused about this, he's upset about this, he doesn't know how to feel about this overall. And, Zangetsu goes about explaining exactly what he is, stating that he is both Yhwach and is not Yhwach at the same time. Stating that he is more accurately a manifestation of Ichigo's powers as a Quincy. And, old man Zangetsu explains everything to Ichigo. We cut back over to the forge. We see Ichigo reach his hand into the fire, where Oetsu is forging his blade. He pulls the sword out, and we see the water around the area just evaporate. It's that intense. And then, of course, we get to see Ichigo's true Zanpakuto, or more specifically to say his true Zanpakutos, because he has 2 of them. One of them being old man Zangetsu, and then the other one being the hollow inside of him. And then of course we see a scene that technically originally happened in chapter 537, but was moved to here, which I think was a better choice overall, because I feel like this is a strong scene to end it on. Which is, we see Ugram Hashwolf walk in to where Yuhabak is. And we see, following behind him, none other than Uryu Ishida, wearing the Stanritter uniform. And that's where the episode ends. So yeah, these final 2 episodes, I thought they were great. I really enjoyed them. And honestly, in regards to these past 13 episodes, I think every new scene that they've added that relates to Uryu is just such an interesting addition. I think they were all great additions, and I really enjoyed seeing them as someone who reads the manga, you know? I think Everything But the Rain was fantastic. I think it turned out great in the anime. Now, episode 12 did in fact have another ending poem, this time from volume 61, specifically from Old Man Zangetsu's perspective. And you know, I enjoy these ending poems. I find them to be an interesting addition. But yeah, my overall thoughts on these past 13 episodes is that I think they were great. These were an amazing first 13 episodes to have to start off the 1,000-Year Blood War. And of course, we've already had it confirmed that the second part will be airing in July. The fact that we're getting it in July has me very excited. Very excited. You know, especially with what's, you know, coming up in the story to be animated next, which is going to be just insane. Well, I think I'm going to end my review here. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next time. Bye.